Ighanda ang sarili sa hamon. Ipapipigil sa pagsulong sa kinabukasan ng katuon para sa di kalidad na edukasyon.
Balik eskwela na naman, isa puso
Sabay-sabay na babangon, sama-samang ahon, ihanda ang sarili sa hamon. Ipagpipigil sa pagsulong sa kinabukasan na katuon, para sa di kalidad na edukasyon.
Balik-eskwela na naman, isa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito na ang new normal, online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face-to-face, gamit ng cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Kristiyano at katutubo, isang hanggarin sa patungo. Ipagpatuloy pag-aaral mo, tagumpay ay naghihintay sa'yo.
Balik-eskwela na naman, isa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito na ang new normal, online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face-to-face, gamit ng cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong
Isang alang-alang natin ang ating kaligtasan, sa bawat oras at panahon, magpakailanman. Hangad palagi ng ating paaralan ang matuto, gayon din maging ligtas ang kabataan. Tayo ay magkaisa, halina't sama-sama, kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat. Pilipinas, maghanda ka na, balik-eskwela na, tara. Tayong lahat sabay-sabay, pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito na ang new normal, online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face-to-face, gamit ng cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, mahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sabay na babangon, sama-samang ahon, ihanda ang sarili sa hamon. Ipagpipigil sa pagsulong sa kinabukasan na katuon, para sa di kalidad na edukasyon.
Balik-eskwela na naman, isa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa ay may lakas.
Ito na Di na kailangang mag-face to face gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Muslim, Kristiyano at katutubo, isang hanggarin sa patubo. Ipagpatuloy pag-aaral mo, tagumpay ay naghihintay sa'yo.
Balik eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa
Ay may lakas, ito na ang new normal. Online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, mahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok sa bagong normal, sa bagong
isang alang-alang natin ang ating kaligtasan sa bawat oras at panahon. Magpakailanman, hangat palagi ng ating paaralan ang matuto, gayon din maging ligtas ang kabataan. Tayo ay magkaisa, halina't sama-sama, kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat. Pilipinas, maghanda ka na, balik eskwela na, tara. Tayong lahat sabay-sabay,
pagkakaisa ay may lakas. Ito na ang new normal. Online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, mahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sabay na babangon, sama-samang ahon, ihanda ang sarili sa hamon. Ipapipigil sa pagsulong sa kinabukasan na katuon, para sa di kalidad na edukasyon.
balik eskwela na naman, sa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa
Ay may lakas, ito na ang new normal. Online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin na ang pagbabago, kahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Muslim, Kristiyano at katutubo, isang hanggarin sa patubo. Ipagpatuloy pag-aaral mo, ay naghihintay sa'yo.
Balik eskwela na naman, isa puso ang kahandaan. Handang isip, handa bukas, sa pagkakaisa
Ay may lakas, ito na ang new normal. Online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face, gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin lang pagbabago, pahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong
Isang
mundo.
alang-alang natin ang ating kaligtasan sa bawat oras at panahon. Magpakailanman, hangat palagi ng ating paaralan ang matuto, gayon din maging ligtas ang kabataan. Tayo ay magkaisa, halina't sama-sama, kasali lahat, kasama lahat, para sa lahat. Pilipinas, maghanda ka na, balik eskwela na, tara. Tayong lahat sabay-sabay,
Pagkakaisa ay may lakas, ito na ang new normal. Online learning at modular. Di na kailangang mag-face to face, gamit ang cellphone at radio base. Yakapin lang pagbabago, pahirapan, kaya natin to. Lakasan ang iyong buhok, sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo. Sa bagong normal, sa bagong mundo.
Okay, good afternoon everyone. Kumusta atong lunch? So, our first speaker tackled about the descriptive data analysis and Ma'am Ivy Magabilin discussed about the t-test for independent group. I hope you are still excited for our next speaker. So the next topic is about bivariate correlation analysis, and this is going to be discussed by Mr. Zima Kevin Espana. Sir?
So right now we will still no. We'll still wait for I'm still waiting for the screen. Okay na yung screen?
Yes.
Kita na ako? Ah, okay, good. So thanks. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Zima Kevin B. Spania, and I will be discussing bivariate correlation analysis using Pearson product moment correlation. I think this is not new to you. This was discussed already, even when you were still in junior high school and in grade 11. So let's talk a little bit about this. Can you still remember the movie Aladdin? You know Aladdin and Princess Jasmine, right? Like when Princess Jasmine want to sneak out in the marketplace, and suddenly he met just Aladdin, and then Aladdin fell in love with Jasmine. But according to the rule, only a prince can marry a princess. That's why, to cut the story short, Aladdin wishes to become a prince by the help of a genie, and it was granted. Now, the question is, if Aladdin will become prince, which what happened in the story, will it increase the affection of Jasmine to him, or will Jasmine choose the simple Aladdin, right? So that's quite interesting. If Aladdin never became or wasn't was not able to grab the chance to become a prince in the story. How about your story? How about the time you spent texting your crush, your the one you have interest with, right? So will the time or will the amount of time you will spend texting or communicating with that person increase that possibility of that person to fall in love with you? Or it might be the different way. The more you text that person, the more you communicate with that person, the opposite happened. What if the person will get scared of you texting him or her, right? So there are two possible an application of correlation or relation. More realistic. I'm not talking the amount of time you spend in studying. Will it be the higher you spend a higher grade, or a decrease of your grade in that of a bivariate? Remember, this example of bivariate significant relationship, or what is really measured using bivariate correlation. Rest of our story, this is linear relationship between pairs. We're talking about linear association of variables x and y. You know, so there is a straight line relationship between x and y. The second definition of Pearson product moment correlation is this test evaluates whether there is a statistical evidence for a linear relationship among the same pairs of variables in the associated population. So let's put this one in this context. So we can say that the two has a relationship, but how statistically correct, or how significant is the relationship between the two? So lahat ng bagay may relasyon pero gaano ka-significant? Kayo, may karelasyon pero gaano ka-significant ang relationship ninyo? Di ba? So yun, through statistics, we can measure kung may significant ba. Baka may relasyon lang pero hindi naman significant, di ba? Parang ganun yung datingan natin dito. So, I want to include the term parametric and non-parametric before proceeding to the assumptions. And actually, guys, there are two kinds of considerations, no, in choosing a test. We have this parametric and non-parametric test. To simplify what this parametric, we're talking about that this data are normally distributed. You know, the bell shape when you were still in high school. So normally distributed data. So when we'll use the test belongs to parametric test, ang pinaka-common yun nila are the data should be normally distributed. If it's not normally distributed, then we can use the non-parametric test, where we can use the other ways of other tests. For example, in my part, we have Pearson product. The opposite, the non-parametric of this is the Spearman. No, so the parametric test of this is Pearson. The non-parametric is Spearman. I'd like to skip with this because I want to. I will discuss this first before proceeding. Before before checking or looking back to the before reviewing, I mean, the hypothesis testing decision rules, no. So these are the assumptions you need to understand when you want to use Pearson product moment correlation. First is the two variables are continuous. When we say continuous variables, these variables belongs to ratio variables, belongs to what's the other one? Or these are scale variables. They're not nominal. When we say nominal, they're not names, no. So there should be continuous, no. The variable values are pairs. So that's why this is called bivariate correlation. Third is the relationship between variable is approximately linear. Sabi ko nga, there is a straight line relationship between the two variables, no? Dapat yun yung nasa utak natin. The fourth one, the variables are approximately normally distributed. That's why we consider Pearson product moment correlation as part of the parametric test. Kasi we consider highly the normality of the data that you want to test using Pearson product moment correlation. And the last one is there are no significant outliers in the data. When we say significant outliers, there is a great deviation from what is normal from the data. When you say normal from the data, yung scores nila, example, yung scores ng mga bata in the range of 15 to 20 lang out of 50 items, may isa naka-50, siya lang isa. The rest is between the scores 15 to 20. So that 50 score from a student, we consider that one as significant outlier because it can really affect the whole computation of or the whole calculation or analysis of Pearson product moment correlation. Parang ganun yung datingan niya. So, ayan. Before I will discuss how to analyze or how to interpret your R value, I'd like to review first, no? We will review first the decision rules. Decision rules. Ito. So ito yung mga decision rules natin. Ito yung decision rules natin. So, sa normality testing, hindi na natin natatakol yan because in this kind of activity and in your output, with your outputs, we will consider it as normal, no? Though it's not really the correct procedure, but with the case that we have, we want to still instill or teach you how to test your data. So right now we'll still assume, no, na normal siya. So we'll not talk about normality test, but we'll talk about hypothesis testing. So looking back at this, again, if the p-value is less than alpha, you will set an alpha value, for example, or alpha value is 0.05. That is the significant error, no? Yeah. So then when we can say that there is no significant difference or relationship between A and B. It's still the same relationship or difference between A and B. There is a significant relationship or difference between A and B. But if a p-value is greater than alpha, no, that then there is no significant difference between relationship or difference between A and B. So tingnan yung katatlong rulings natin, ganyan tayo mag-decide. So for the first one, we will reject the null hypothesis, and for the second one, we will fail to reject the null hypothesis. Please take a look at please take a note of this of this test of this decision rules, no. Tapos na ba? Naka-screenshot na lahat. So balik ulit ako doon sa ito. Assumptions natin. So for example, in your future study, itong mga assumptions na to na satisfy, then you can use the Pearson product moment correlation. If hindi na satisfy, you will look for another test soon, no, sa mga future research niyo. Look for another test. Halimbawa nito, yung equivalent non-parametric equivalent niya is the Spearman correlation. So this is how you will interpret now the R value. Actually, we'll get two values in Pearson. We'll get the R value and the P value. The R value will determine the strength and the relationship of the two variables correlated. And for the P value, it will determine the significant relationship between the two variables that is more statistically measured, no? So this is how you will determine the R value. So paalala lang sa lahat, walang lalagpas sa positive 1 at walang lalagpas sa negative 1, ha? Baka may aabot ng positive 2. So 1 here is considered as 100%. So if that is positive 70 or higher, we consider that one, your R value, if your R value is positive 70 or higher, we consider that one as very strong positive relationship. That means napaka-strong, no? Positibo at napaka-strong ng relasyon nilang dalawa. Pero naman, if that is negative 0.70 or lower, hindi to higher, or lower, negative 1 na yan, hindi yan higher, ha, lower yan, that's very strong negative relationship. No? So, from negative 1 to negative 70. So, lower yan. Correct ko na yan. No? So, that's how you will determine the strength of the relationship. But how about the direction? If you get a negative R value, then the relationship of the two variables is inversely related. What does it mean? They're going to opposite direction. So para ang table niyan, parang ang line niyan parang paganon, no? Parang patakip sa axis, X and Y axis nyo. Halimbawa, meron kayong science and math scores. Kung inversely related yung relationship niya, maaring we can say that habang tumataas, the higher the math score, the lower the science score. Diba? Parang ganun. Or the opposite, the lower the science score, the higher the math score. Pero naman, kung positive yung nakuhang R value nyo, anong ibig sabihin yon? Ang ibig sabihin nun, that they are directly related. So sabay sila sa papunta. So example, kung papataas if your math score gets higher, your science score also gets higher. Or if your math score gets lower or decreases, your science score also decreases. Tapos yun yung direction niya. So that's how we will determine the strength and the direction of the variables. So sir, sabay-sabay ba talaga? So equal ba talaga yung gap, yung takbo? So yung takbo, nakadepende talaga yan sa strength eh. Kung very strong talaga, parang sabay-sabay yan, no? Parang equal yung pagtaas at pagbaba niyan, no? But for example, weak positive relationship, kung tataas yung isa, parang yung isa hindi tataas din, pero not so much, no? So yung pagtaas At yung gap, yung distance, nakadepende din yan sa strength ng relationship ninyo. Okay? So you should familiarize these things kasi gagamitin nyo to during the interpretation of your data. Okay na ba tayo? May thumbs up ba dyan? Ayan. So I hope lahat naka-screenshot na nito except sa negative 0.70 or lower. Okay. So for example, you have this statement of the problem. You have this is one of your statement, no? Sa statement of the problems niyo. Is there a significant relationship between the math and the science grade of section A students? Ito yung nais yung sagutan. You have already the GPA for the science. You have already the GPA of the overall GPA of the math grade, overall GPA of the science grade, and whatever it is. But your last thing is, yung difference ba, or yung dalawa ba, may relasyon, di ba? So, yan. So, ito yung nais nating sagutan. Ano ba yung hypothesis nito? Ito yung magiging hypothesis nito, or magiging null hypothesis nito. There is no significant relationship between the math and the science grade of section A students. Diba? Ganito yung datingan ng mga statement of the problem nyo, especially those who are doing descriptive correlational studies. Diba? Mayroon kayong mga questions na ganito. So ito, sa tulong ni Pearson, malalaman natin. We'll be able to know kung meron ba talaga. No? Meron ba talagang relasyon? Hindi lang simpleng relasyon, but significant na relasyon. So I have examples of scores here. Yan, naka-excellent din. 10 lang, 10 students. Ito yung score niya sa 15. Ito yung score niya sa math scores. Ito yung score niya sa science subject. Dapat hindi to scores. Ayan. Ito yung score niya sa math. Ito yung scores nila sa math. Ito din yung scores nila sa science. So, 10 students lang yan. Gusto natin malaman kung ano yung R value nila. Ano ba yung strength ng relationship nila? Pag magaling ba talaga sa math, magaling din sa science? Parang ganun yung datingan natin, di ba? Pag magaling pa sa math, magaling ba siya sa science? Baka hindi, ano? Or baka pag magaling siya sa math, di na siya magaling sa science. So, ito yung purpose ni Pearson, kaya lumabas siya, no? Na-develop siya. So, ito yung mga scores natin. I hope yung iba meron na rin ganito. So, siguro I'll give you time na lang siguro for those who are doing descriptive correlational analysis or descriptive correlational study. I hope nakaganito na yung data ninyo. I'll give you 3 minutes para i-arrange. Ha? Nawala ko? Okay na? Kana? Okay ba yung screen ko sa iba? I'm presenting the Excel now, no, with the data. Okay na ba? Oh, ito. So yung merong mga studies na descriptive correlational, I'm giving you 2 minutes to arrange your data this way. No, yung may descriptive correlational. 2 minutes to arrange your data this way. Ayan. So, no, okay na siguro yung iba, no? Nakaganito na yung format. Actually, you can do also this one with the Excel by the use of yung regression. Merong regression dito na pwede gamitin sa add-ons. But let's proceed now to the SPSS, which is now very convenient to our part, no? So all you need to do is to copy this one, copy these cells na merong mga data, and transfer this all to your SPSS. I think na-introduce na to kanina. So, copy lang. Control V. Ayan. So, from the Excel, directly pwede natin siya ma-transfer dito sa ating data view. No? Data view sa SPSS. To, data view to sa SPSS. Let's see ha. Yan. So, after sa data view, punta tayo ng variable view. Yung parang second sheet ng ng SPSS. Dito, we'll change the variable 5, first variable with the math. Kasi math yung nauna natin kanina. Or math scores, no? O math na lang. Yung ikalawa, change natin ng science. Then change niyan kung anong meron kayo, may time ba kayo or ano ba yan, self-esteem, ano bang mga variables diyan, you change the name of the variables, no? Tapos pagkatapos dito, punta tayo dito sa measure, no? Click natin to si scale. Yan. Si scale, andyan na si ratio variable, andyan na yun si yung isang variable na kalimutan ko tuloy. So sali na silang dalawa. Interval variable, no? Si scale, andyan na si ratio at interval variable. Magkasama na silang dalawa dyan. So, ayun. So, in the parametric, in the SPSS, we considered scale variables as continuous variables, no? So, andyan na si math, na-rename na natin, and science, sa measure na scale na rin. Then, proceed na tayo sa ating nyo muna dito sa data view. Balik tayo sa first, ha? Ayan, na-change na yung mga names nila. O, di ba? Ganda. So, punta na tayo sa analyze. Click analyze. And then click correlate. Ayan. Click this correlate. Ay, para may iba hindi nakasabay. Joke lang, ano? Sabay tayong lahat, ano? Click analyze. Then click correlate. And then click Bivariate. Ayan, Bivariate. Then, kung gusto nyo i-transfer to, pwede nyo click tong isa-isahin. Kung di naman, gusto nyo sabayan, no? Shift lang, shift highlight. Balik ko dito, balik ko dyan. Ayan, di ba? Ganda. Two-tailed tayo, no? So, ayan, na-transfer na natin sila. Yung option natin, kung meron pa tayong tingnan natin. Kung gusto niyo makita yung means at standard deviation nila, pwede din click natin to. Then continue. And then, I think we're ready, no? Then click OK. So, andito. Makikita nyo yung mean nilang dalawa. Ano? Ito si mean. Mean ni math, 13.6. Mean ni science is 15.3. With a standard deviation of 3.89 and 3.68 consecutively, no? So ayan. So ito na yung sinasabi kong kailangan natin. Kailangan natin to. Ito. So kunin ko muna to. Transfer natin dito somewhere in my PowerPoint maybe. Ayan. Transfer natin to dito. Ayan. Baba ko muna ha. Control M. Lagay ko dito yung scores. I hope nakasabay pa lahat, ano? Yan. Parang pangit yung pagka-click ko. Mali ata. Pangit eh. Ang pangit. Oh. Click ko yun. Tayo. Control copy. Para makita niya, no? Yung ano niya. Hindi talaga na niya. Ayaw talaga. Ito siguro, mas maganda. Okay. Tapos, lakihan natin. Lang. Tingnan natin to. 0.5. 0.01 yung level. Okay. Ayan. So, ito yung score na pinakita. Ito yung result ng SPSS, no? Na binigay niya sa atin. Ito si 0.939. Ito yung tinatawag nating R value. Ito namang si 0.00. Oh, ito yung si p-value natin. So, ngayon, subukan nating i-interpret, no? Itong si 0.939 at itong si 0.00, no? Balik tayo sa ating scaling. Saan mabilong si 0.939? Positive 0.939, di ba? Positive 'yon. Saan ba nabilong si positive 0.939? Belong siya sa very strong and positive relationship, tama, ano? At belong din siya sa directly related kasi positive siya. So, ang R value natin is very strong and very strong positive and directly related yung magiging R value natin. But gaano ba significant? Significant ba tong strength and direction nila? Yun yung tanong. And we got the p-value of 0.00, which is greater than yung, I think ito greater than ito yung tama ba? Ito yung greater than 0.01 ang level natin, which is ano yung decision rule natin? Pag less than the alpha, therefore there is significant relationship, then we will reject HO. Tama, tama kayo. So, paano natin ipipresent yung ating R value? So, ano nga yung R value natin? Ano yung R value natin kanina? That's 0.0. Tama, 939. Positive. Si p-value natin, 0.00. Sa decision, pwede natin direct lang dito sabihin na reject the null hypothesis. Kasi nga, sabi natin, 0.0 eh. Di ba? Pero with regards to, when we talk about the interpretation, dito ma-mention na natin. Dapat ma-mention na natin so ito yung table natin. Ito yung magiging table natin sa p-value sa ating relationship. At ito yung magiging interpretation natin. You actually can make your own, di ba? As long as the content or the important terms and the important terms and informations are there in your interpretation. So in my case, I use it this way. I write it this way, Table 1 shows, I'm talking about this table, Table 1 shows the significant relationship between the mathematics and science scores of Section A students. It was found out that the R value is equal to, 0.939, tama, which means that the strength and the direction, of the relationship of science and mathematics scores, of science and mathematics scores is, strength daw muna tayo, very strong, di ba? Sabi sa ating scaling. Wait ha. very strong positive. Ano? And ano yung direction? Direct, di ba? Sabi ko, di ba kanina, positive kasi siya eh. Directly related. So we can have this kind of interpretation, no? So it was found out that the p-value is less than the set alpha level. Wag na nating ilagay si p-value na 0.000, no? Yung na-set ata doon is 0.01, tama? No? Or 0.1, bakit 0.1 yun? So it was also found out that the p-value is less than the set alpha level, alpha 0.01, no level of significance. The result led to the decision of rejecting the null hypothesis or reject HO, which means pwede na ito ganito, rejecting the null hypothesis. Yan. Which means that there is a significant relationship between the mathematics and science scores of section A students and then period. No? So that's how you will interpret the table. This is the table. This is the interpretation. I hope for those who are using descriptive correlational, it's really fun. It's a cool, it's fun, easy computation. No, so I hope you can solve it, or you can solve it, and you can follow the procedure well. I think that's all, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Ma'am Car.
Thank you, Sir Zimac. Okay, do you want to answer questions, Sir Z, right now? Or later na? Sir Z?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Will you answer questions now or later na?
How? What's the decision of the body? Now? Okay now, ma'am.
Are
Okay
there
now. Okay now.
questions?
Okay now. Let's do it now.
Do you have questions? You can write in the chat box.
So while waiting for the question, ma'am, Car, I announce something a little lang, brief lang.
Okay, sir.
The date of the seminar workshop will be on Monday. I think that's June, what date? 7, right? That's June 7, 2021. So that's the time you will submit all your outputs. So from the outputs, we will send you the later on. We will send you later on the full instruction. So si EJ, yes EJ, sir, it's necessary po to use SPSS or pwede to run Excel. Meron kasing mga tests na talagang I suggest kasi like for example, a t-test, meron kasing ginagamit ng mga paired t-test. And there are things na wala. Pero in case ako lang no, sa Pearson, you can use Excel. I think there are add-ons. There are tutorial on YouTube how to compute p-value of Pearson correlation using Excel. Meron. So you can follow the instruction there. But if you wish to use SPSS, kasi na-discuss natin dito, pwede din. Kasi kahit ano naman, the same naman yung bibigay na result nila EJ. Hindi man approximately the same or approximately the same. For example, ito I tried this one using Excel. Ang binigay niya sa aking R value is 9.39. Same din naman. No problem. As long as the process is right, then I consider it as right as well, no? Basta process is right lang. Amy. The answer for that's Amy. Basta tama.
There is another question from Agustin Carillo, sir.
Sir, asa gikan atong 0.01 na alpha level. Actually, sa SPSS, let's see ha, kung na-set naman daan ata niya diri sa iyahang ano. Let's try the bootstrap. Hindi ata. Relation by Bivariate. Reset. Hindi, para. I don't know if this pero na-set ata ni Daan 0.01 ang correlation. This is significance confidence level. Well, this the same. Ano na dito? When you set the daan niya dito, no? Ang level. Murag na sa SPSS ang pag-set level. I don't for kasi with others naman sa TTES mas-set ng pud nimo with regards sa SPSS murag di na ka makaset I think pero yeah it will give you naman then the most reliable statistical result. Why not? Oo. Nakaset na siya daan. I don't know because as far as I know, bro, na-set na siya daan. I tested naman din relationship video. Wala sa option. So, I don't know with this version, with the version of the SPSS I'm using. Kasi sa option, wala. Wala sa option. I think nakatry ko sa una nga makaset ka sa Pearson, sa SPSS. Yeah, I believe, nakatry ko sa una. With this version, I think, kasi ang version ganyan SPSS abot ng 29. Oo, wala sa option. Karon kasi this is version 20 I think. Tapos yung ibang version umaabot ng 29. I don't know with the upgraded version. But the lower version, I think the version 15, meron siyang option. Yung maka-change ka sa confidence level. Oo. So that's my answer. So yeah, the greater, the lesser the significant error, no? The greater the significance level, the better. Ano na? Okay, gamay ra gyud error, may tabo, no? So okay ra ng 0.01. Actually, 0.01 is better than 0.05. We're just using 0.05 level of significance because that's the standard, especially for social researches. No, for if that's 0.01, why not? It's good. Mura na mo ana nag-study ka ng near na sa mga health issues ng mga problems. So there's nothing wrong with 0.01. Much better na siya. Okay?
There is another question, sir. Is there
Yes,
instances ba na mag-equal ang p-value and alpha?
Mag-equal ang p-value and alpha. Yes. There are instances. Yeah, pero dahil sa sumpay, actually taas na kanang may mga dot. Kanang mga asterisk sa taas, dahil sa mga sumpay. Oo. So ganon. Yeah. So more question?
Pwede ba daw magamit og laptop o cellphone lang, sir, to perform
Hindi
this
pwede,
analysis?
No, because SPSS is heavy, no? Some of the SPSS software consumes a gig or more of your laptop. So, taas good siya. So, di siya pwede gamitan og cellphone lang, no? Laptop good siya. So, ayun. Hindi naman, if you have friends, I suggest nga yung, if you have friends na naka-install nito, pwede mo mahatag lang data sila, tapos hihatag lang ang result na you interpret na lang. Ana. If wala good choice, no? Okay, wala good laptop, then you can ask a friend, then to compute this, and then, yeah. I think that's a good, si Kakang Carol, ito, dili pwede, no? Sa SPSS, no. Bukat kayo ang SPSS. Akong laptop yun halos Ako na nila format para makasulod ng SPSS adto kay bugat gyud siya. Especially ka ng mga legit na version, bugat siya kayo. So, laptop lang gid ta.
Okay, I think there's no more questions, sir.
Mm. So, feel free to ano lang, but katong na-conscious po katong dito, 0.05 na equal ng alpha. Actually, yeah, nag-organisation pa kay taas man yun na computations metable, no? So, if that's the case, so far, no case pa na, no case pa ko na-encounter, ana. So, daghan yun na siya ng mga decimal places. Okay? So,
Thank you, Sir Zimac.
thank you, ma'am.
Okay, for our last speaker, but surely not the least, we will be discussing about the one-way analysis of variance with post hoc comparisons. Let's all welcome Mr. Jeremiah Atenta.
Okay, so I'm muted pala. Okay, so hello everyone. Good afternoon. Am I heard now? Can everyone hear me? Kindly confirm. You can drop it down in the comment section. Please press 1 if I am heard so that we can continue. Okay, so there. So actually, I am also using my phone so that I can see the comments here. So from time to time, if you have questions, we can answer that one instantly. Okay. So here, okay. So my task is to discuss one-way analysis of variance or the ANOVA with post hoc comparisons. Okay. So I would like to start my talk with this quote here. Okay, so we have here, we all make decisions, but in the end, our decisions make us. So from this quotation, making good and sound decision is an essential skill. Sometimes it determines the path of our life, right? We are living this way today because of our decisions in the past. That decision could be good or bad. But if we had made decision is in the past, bad decisions in the past, we can still correct that one today, and we can have learnings from that decision so that sa susunod naman we cannot commit those decisions. Okay? Now, statistics sometimes is a powerful tool in decision making. So that's why I can really say that statistics is very useful. It is a branch of mathematics that is very useful, especially in decision making. And it could be our basis for a solution to give solution to a certain problem and whatnot. Like today, many people are really afraid to be vaccinated, right? Okay? So maraming mga fake news na lumalabas about vaccines. Okay? Even though experts had already said that it is really helpful to mitigate and contain the spread of the disease, there are still some na natatakot or um, hindi naniniwala sa vaccine. Okay? Experts will never said or endorse those vaccines or never said na effective yung vaccine if it didn't undergo tedious studies and trials. Okay, so sana naman hindi tayo agad-agad naniniwala sa mga fake news. Let us always check um, our sources be credible and reliable. Okay? Para makahelp naman tayo sa ating lipunan. Okay? So vaccines is really important to mitigate and contain the spread of the disease. Ano ba yung ginagawa ng vaccine? Okay, the vaccine will help us decrease the what you call this one, the infection rate of that virus, the coronavirus, nCoV. Okay, so it is really important na ma-vaccinate tayo para ano naman natin, ang tawag dito, para protection natin sa sakit. It is better to prevention is better than cure, right? Okay, so that's why we need to really check our sources. Huwag agad-agad maniniwala sa mga fake news. Okay? Now, going back to decision making, it is really important. Okay? And statistics and mathematics are really essential in decision making. Hindi lang yung lugaw ang essential, pati rin yung mathematics and statistics. Okay? So that's why mathematics and statistics are really important in our life. That's why dito sa education, mathematics and statistics sinasama talaga sa curriculum. Okay? And connecting this in relation to this quote, our role here, especially for statisticians and mathematicians, we always find ways to give good and sound decisions. And when making good and sound decisions, we are actually, in this case, we are actually preventing to give bad decisions. And in statistics, yung hindi natin yung ang tawag dito, we are so sa statistics hindi natin kailangan talaga yung best decision. But we need those essential decisions for a certain problem. At iniiwasan natin itong mga tinatawag na type 1 and type 2 error. Ano ba yung type 1 error? Type 1 error is rejecting HO while it is true. Okay, so it is rejecting HO while it is true. And type 2 error is failing to reject HO. So, failing to reject HO while it is false. Okay, so ito yung mga dalawang errors na iniiwasan natin. Okay, as statisticians and mathematicians. One popular example to this one is a trial in a court. Okay? Di ba sa trial, yung ginagawa natin is our hypothesis or yung tinitest natin dito is the defendant if the defendant is guilty or not to a certain crime, right? And our HO here is the defendant is innocent. We cannot say that that defendant is already a criminal without enough evidence. So at first, merong presumption of innocence unless proven guilty, right? So that is our HO. Now, if we commit type 1 error, ang mangyayari is our decision, ang binibigay nating verdict is guilty yung tao even if he is not. Okay, so that is a very bad decision. Kinukulong mo yung inosente, right? Type 2 error naman is your decision, your verdict is not guilty even if he is. So pinapalabas mo yung criminal. And it can cause another problem, right? So decision making is really important, okay? So that's why here in statistics, we need to practice and learn how to make good decisions. Okay? Now, okay, ayan. Now, in the first talk, Ma'am Aijin discussed about descriptive statistics, right? So doon, binigay niya kung papaano i-present, okay, i-collect. So descriptive statistics, binigay na yung definition kanina. So it is a process of collecting, presenting data, and whatnot, okay? So yun yung descriptive statistics. While inferential statistics naman ngayon, is siya yung parang our tool to make conclusions from our data. Okay, so in inferential statistics, we are actually estimating parameters and testing hypothesis. And dito, we will test hypothesis. Okay, and in our second talk, Ma'am Ivy discussed about t-test, right? So t-test yung diniscuss niya, and from that talk, nag-compare siya ng dalawang means. Okay? For example, I have seen this one sa Google. So we have this California Sunshine product. Okay? Ang sabi niya dito, so ganito talaga no, para kapag kinakain ka ng statistics, lahat na lang tinitignan mo talaga. Okay? So tingnan niyo tong mga labels niya dito. Dito nakot yung attention ko. Makikita nyo dito itong statement dito. Okay? I-zoom natin. Ang sabi niya, from cows not treated with RBST, no significant difference has been shown between milk derived from RBST treated and non-RBST treated cows. Okay, so dito nag-compare siya ng dalawang groups. And that is cows na RBST treated and yung hindi na treat ng RBST. Okay? And you cannot present this one unless it undergone TDU studies or um, research. So you need to really be careful of your statement. So dito, baka cows, baka na-test na talaga nila. Okay? So that's it. Now, what if we have 3 or more groups? Dito, dalawa lang siya. What if we have 3 or more groups? So dito, papasok ngayon yung F-test. Okay? Or yung ANOVA na alam ninyo. Okay? So when we say one-way analysis of variance, okay, ito yung test, okay, it concerns with comparing means of 3 or more groups. Okay? When an F-test is used to test a hypothesis concerning the means of 3 or more populations, the technique is called analysis of variance, or what we know na ANOVA. Okay? So yung F-test, siya yung test. Okay? That is the test sa ANOVA, but ANOVA is just a technique. Okay? Siya yung technique or tool. Okay? To have this F-test. Okay? So F-test is the test, ANOVA is the technique. So it is wrong if sasabihin nyo sa akin na, suppose I'm asking, ano yung test na ginamit ninyo? Do not answer ANOVA, but you should answer F-test because ANOVA is just the technique. Okay? So that's it. Now, the one-way ANOVA is an extension of the independent t-test. That's why kanina sinabi ko, so I relate my talk ganina sa talk ni Ma'am Ivy. So first, I presented the test if dalawang population lang yung involved. So what if tatlo or more na? So we will now proceed to one-way ANOVA. So t-test is actually the, ANOVA is the extension of the t-test. It is used to determine whether there are any statistically significant differences. Okay? Take note of the word statistically significant differences between the means of 3 or more independent unrelated groups. Okay? So hindi naman agad-agad if tatlo agad yung groups natin or population, agad-agad gagamitin natin yung ANOVA. That is wrong. There are requirements and assumptions that you need to satisfy. Okay? And what are those assumptions and requirements? So first, let's have the requirements. First, in any one analysis, there must be only one independent variable. For example, economic status. Okay? Independent. Okay? When we say independent, the one will not change when the other is changing. Okay? Independent sila. Hindi naaapektuhan yung isa sa changes ng isa. Okay, independent. So example, economic status. Okay, there should be more than two levels of that independent variable. More than two levels. So in this example, economic status, we can have low, medium, and high. Okay? So low, medium, and high. So tatlo sila. So in that case, pwede natin gamitin si ANOVA. Next, there must be only one dependent variable measured at the interval or ratio level. Okay? So our dependent variable should be at interval or ratio level so that this variable is continuous. When we say continuous variable, those are variables that can be measured. Okay? So hindi pwede yung nominal at yung ordinal. Dapat interval and ratio level dapat sila. Okay? Next, how about the assumptions? Ano ba yung mga assumptions ng ating ANOVA? So we have here the assumptions. The populations from which the samples were taken are normally distributed. When we say normally distributed, dapat the data will follow the bell-shaped curve. Okay? The bell-shaped curve is very popular sa statistics. Okay? Because ANOVA is one technique in parametric test. Okay, so dapat normally distributed sila. Next, homogeneity of variance should be satisfied. When we say homogeneous, the same, almost the same sila. Or there is no difference between the variances of the groups. Okay? Next, the observations are all independent of one another. That's why sinabi ko kanina, when we say independent, hindi na aapektuhan yung changes ng isa sa changes ng isa. Okay? And last assumption is there should be no significant outlier. As what Sir Simak said kanina, okay, when we say outliers, those are extreme values. When we say extreme values, yung mga matataas na value or yung mga maliliit na value. So it deviate from the usual pattern of the data set. Okay, so if your data nag-range lang sa 10 to 20 and there are data nga na 50 and we have 1, so yung dalawa it deviates na from the usual pattern of our data set. So kailangan meron pa tayong gagawin and you will know that one sa higher statistics. So I will not discuss that one here. So dito, we will focus sa mga basic muna. Dapat alam natin kung paano gagawin yung basic na gagawin, okay, when we are going to apply ANOVA. Okay? So that's it. Now, so, as what I've said kanina, dapat ma-satisfy natin lahat itong assumptions para magamit natin yung ANOVA. Okay? So, let's keep this one in our mind. Okay? What if, sir? What if my data is not normally distributed? What am I gonna do? Okay? So, ito yung flow chart na titingnan natin para alam natin kung anong dapat nating gawin if this is the case. Okay, now first, let's test the normality. Okay? So, the test of normality, kadalasang ginagawa is yung, or ina-apply ay yung Kolmogorov-Smirnov test or the Shapiro-Wilk test. Those are tests for normality. Now, if this one is satisfied, okay, we will now undergo two tests of homogeneity of variance. Dito papasok si Levin's test. I think na-discuss siya ni Ma'am Ivy kanina. Right? The homogeneity of variance, so that is the Levin's test ang gagamitin natin. Now, if that is satisfied, then we can use one-way ANOVA. Okay. So, gamit tayo ng one-way ANOVA kasi na-satisfy yung mga assumptions natin. What if hindi na-satisfy si homogeneity of variance? What are we gonna do? Okay, we will use the Welch or the Brown Forsyth test. Okay, So ito ngayon, if the data is normal, however, the variances are not homogeneous, we will use the Welch or the Brown Forsyth test. Now, sino yung dapat na dalawa ito, sir, si Welch at si Brown. Ano yung dapat nating piliin? Okay? The answer is it's up to the researcher. Okay? Sometimes yung decision natin is based on our practices na. Medyo mas nagagamit ko si Welch, so si Welch yung gagamitin ko. Ganon yon. Okay, so walang best sa dalawa, it's up to the researcher. Okay. Now, what if itong normality test or the is not satisfied? In this case, we will use the Kruskal-Wallis H test. H ba yun? Yeah, H test. The Kruskal-Wallis H test. Ito yung gagamitin natin if the normality assumption is not satisfied. So dito papasok si non-parametric test. Okay, so dito papasok si non-para test natin na si Kruskal-Wallis H test. Okay, so ito yung guide natin the um, for testing hypothesis or in comparing means of 3 or more populations. Okay, so take a screenshot para alam nyo kung ano yung gagawin, para alam nyo yung guide. Okay, when you do comparing means of 3 or more populations. Okay, now in this talk, let's consider this sample problem. Okay? So we will apply now the things that we have learned kanina, yung na-discuss ko. Okay? But before that, let me check if you are really listening. Okay? Para malaman ko na nakikinig talaga tong mga estudyante ngayon kasi I really miss teaching these students. So, para malaman ko lang na nakikinig kayo, kindly press 2. Okay, I will not proceed unless you are not pressing 2. Okay, let's check if you are really listening. Ayun, so may nakikita na akong 2, si Sheena. So Sheena is watching. We have Sheena, ano to? Sininen Blue, Agustin, okay, Alexia, Kyla, Carlos, ayan, marami na. Harvey, Ramela, Carlo, and marami na. Okay, so marami pala talagang nakikinig. So I hope may matutunan kayo ngayon dito and ma-apply nyo siya sa mga researches ninyo. Now, let's consider this sample problem. A researcher is interested in finding out whether the intensity of electric shock will affect the time required to solve a set of difficult problems. 18 subjects are randomly assigned to the 3 experimental conditions of low shock, medium shock, and high shock. The total time in minutes required to solve all problems is the measure recorded for each subject. Okay? Now, I hope you already downloaded the data that I have posted in the comment section. So here's the link. Kindly download this data para sabay tayong mag-analyze mamaya. Okay, so we have the data, we have the link. Kindly download the link. Sino yung naka-download na? Kindly comment down in the chat box. Okay, sino yung naka-download? Taas ng kamay. Okay, kaway-kaway, galaw-galaw naman dyan. Okay. Sino yung naka-download na? So, mas maganda if you have hands-on na experience in analyzing these data. Okay, tingnan natin. Ayun, may naka-download na. Okay, ayan. So, at least meron nang naka-download. Okay, now what is the hypothesis that we are going to test here? So here's our null hypothesis. We always test the null hypothesis. Always take note of that one. Okay, so the null hypothesis is there is no significant difference on the time taken to solve the problem across the intensity level of the electric shock. So this is our ano tawag dito? Null hypothesis. Okay? And now, as what I've said, you cannot proceed unless you cannot satisfy the conditions. So first, I know sinabi nila sir sa akin last time na we will assume normality in this case. Pero I will still try to show to you kung paano mag-test ng normality. So first, we will test the normality of our data. Okay? So in testing normality, this is our null hypothesis. The data sets are normally distributed. So this is our null hypothesis and the decision rule. So ito yon. If the p-value is less than or equal to 0.05, so I used the level of significance 0.05 kasi siya yung kadalasan ginagamit, especially in social statistics. But if we are going to deal with like medical fields, mag 0.01 kayo. Or yung, ang tawag dito, yung scientific na talaga, yon. So 0.01 yung gamitin nyo na level of significance. But if it is just a, on social statistics though, we will just use 0.05. If that's the case, if less than or equal to 0.05 siya, we will reject HO. So we will reject the null hypothesis. Okay? So ngayon, I would like you to open the data. Kung sino yung naka-download, please open the data. So if you're going to open the data, actually binagay ko na siya. So as you can see here, there are two variables involved. We have the shock and the time. Shock intensity yung isa, and we have the time. Okay? So shock and time intensity. Tingnan natin yung variable view niya. Okay, so I am just opening the data here. So nandyan siya. So tingnan natin yung variable view. Ito yung lalabas. Okay, so makikita natin first variable is si shock and the second variable is the time. Makikita rin natin dito na may labels na siya. So nilagyan natin ng label. So we have shock intensity, meron rin for time. And for the values, as you can see sa data view, yung shock intensity natin is in numerical, may numerical value siya. Okay, so we should label that one kasi you cannot test the you cannot use in SPSS, it should be in numerical value dapat yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So sa values, we have 1. So C1 is for the low, then C2 is for 2 is for the medium, and 3 is for high intensity. Okay, so we have low, medium, and high intensity. So as you can see, tig-aanim sila dito. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now after that, let us now test the normality. So how are you going to do that one? So what you're going to click here is from the menu bar. So from the menu bar, click Analyze. So you click Analyze here. Then, Descriptive Statistics. I hope you can follow. Descriptive Statistics here. Next, you click Explore. Then click Explore. So from that, ito yung lalabas. Okay, so yan. So suppose na-click nyo na yun lahat. Analyze, Descriptive Statistics, then Explore. Ito yung lalabas. Now, dapat alam nyo kung ano yung dependent and independent variable nyo. Okay? So in this case, yung dependent natin should be continuous and that is our time. Okay? So ilagay nyo yung time sa dependent and si shock intensity sa independent. Okay? So, arrow in desired dependent variable, siya yung si time. Then, arrow in the desired grouping variable or our independent variable. So siya si shock intensity. Okay? Then after that, let's click plots. Dito sa plots, makikita natin yung normality test. Okay? So you need to click plots. So from that, ito yung lalabas. Okay? So please follow lang. If you have questions or clarifications, you can write it down in the comment section or in our chat box. So we have this. Click plots. So ito yung lalabas. Okay? So after that, you check normality plots with tests. So makikita yung mga plots and yung test. So yung test dito ay si Kolmogorov-Smirnov and si Shapiro-Wilk test. Okay, so sila yung lalabas sa result mamaya. Then after clicking or checking normality plots with tests, you click continue. Okay? Then after that, pag tapos yun nang na-click yung continue, you click okay here. Kasi babalik kayo dito sa explore na, ang tawag dito, yung tab. So yan. Then you click okay. Then after that, lalabas ngayon yung output. So ito yung lalabas na output. I hope the same tayo ng output. So makikita nyo dito, okay, for the time, for the low, medium, and high intensity, you have 6 here. 6, tawag dito, 6 entries. Okay, so 6 yung data sa kada, tawag dito, shock intensity. So for low, you have 6, medium 6, high 6. So sa missing, wala tayong missing value. So total will be 18, 666. Okay? So makikita nyo dito yung descriptive statistics niya. You have the mean, okay, the confidence interval, and yung iba pa. But we are not going to deal that one here. Tignan natin yung mga sa baba, test of normality. Okay? So na dito sa baba, you have the Kolmogorov-Smirnov. Dito, may Kolmogorov-Smirnov. Then the second one is the Shapiro-Wilk test. Now, sir, ano yung mas magandang gamitin? Is it the Kolmogorov-Smirnov or the Shapiro-Wilk test? Now, in practice, in my case, I always use the Shapiro-Wilk test. Okay, so siya yung kadalasan kong ginagawa kasi as what I've learned in my college days, yung Shapiro-Wilk is used especially if hindi natin alam yung population mean and variance. And kadalasan yung population mean and variance are really unknown, right? So si Shapiro-Wilk yung ginagamit ko. Yan yung sinabi sa akin. So, yeah. Pero kahit ano yung gagamitin nyo, okay naman siya. Walang problema. Okay? So in this case, yung titingnan lang natin ay yung mga sig. Nakikita nyo yung sig? That is the significant values or the p-value. Okay? The p-value. So ito yung titingnan natin sa Kolmogorov and the Shapiro-Wilk test. So makikita nyo dito na kahit ano yung pipiliin nyo, yung p-value natin dito or the p-values either sa Kolmogorov or the Shapiro-Wilk test, they are both greater than 0.5. Okay, so from our hypothesis that the data sets are normally distributed, since our p-value are greater than 0.5, then we fail to reject HO. Okay, so we will not reject HO in this case. So we will take the null hypothesis. And what is the null hypothesis? It is the null hypothesis states that the data sets are normally distributed. In this case, our conclusion or our interpretation for this part is the population groups are normally distributed. So the first assumption is satisfied. Okay? So the population groups here are normally distributed. So we can now proceed to the next assumption. Now, what if it is not satisfied? Then you will use Kruskal-Wallis H test. That is the not one of the the counterpart of ANOVA in non-para tests. Okay, the Kruskal-Wallis H test. Doon, yung tinitake naman nila na kino-compare nila ay yung mean ranks naman. Okay, mean ranks ng data. Okay, pero hindi na natin siya isasama. Maybe your teacher will discuss that one sa future discussion ninyo. Okay, so yan. So we are done with the first assumption, the normality assumption, and it is satisfied. Let's proceed to the second assumption, and that is the homogeneity of variance. Ano ba yung tinitest natin dito? So the null hypothesis is the variances are the same, or there is no significant difference between the variances of the ang tawag ito, population natin. Okay, so yung tatlong groups natin. Walang, ang tawag dito, difference. So the same sila. Statistically the same. Okay, so what is the decision rule? The same pa rin siya. If the p-value is less than or equal to 0.05, then we will reject HO. Okay, we will reject HO. Okay, if it is less than or equal to 0.05. Okay, now, let's proceed to homogeneity of variance na test. And dito, si Levens test yung gagamitin natin. Okay? So, how are you going to do that one? From the menu bar again, we will click Analyze. So, click nyo yung Analyze dito sa taas. Okay? Tapos na. Next, we will click Compare Means. Okay? So, Compare Means. Then, we will now proceed to one-way ANOVA. Okay, one-way ANOVA. Again, we click Analyze, then Compare Means, then you click one-way ANOVA. Okay, then after that, ito yung lalabas. So yung, ang tawag dito? Basta yan. Yan yung magpa-pop up dyan, yung one-way ANOVA. So you again arrow in the dependent and the independent variables. So we have this. Yan, arrow in the desired dependent variable. And you arrow in the desired grouping variable or the independent variable. Now, ngayon, saan natin makikita yung homogeneity of variance test? Dito tayo sa options mag-click. Okay? You click options. Yan. Okay? After clicking options, ito yung lalabas. Okay. So you have that. Yan. One-way ANOVA options. Okay? Then after that, we will check the descriptive para makita natin yung mga means and the variances or the standard deviation. And you check homogeneity of variance test. Okay? So you check again, descriptive, para makita natin yung mga descriptive stats like the mean and the standard deviation. Then you check homogeneity of variance tests. Okay. Then after that, you click continue. Okay, you click continue. I hope naka-follow pa tayo. Okay, you click continue. Then after clicking continue, babalik kayo dito, then you click okay. Okay? Upon clicking okay, so tapos na lahat, lalabas ngayon yung result natin. So ito yung lalabas. I hope the same tayo. The same ba? Galaw-galaw naman dyan. The same ba? Okay? So, from here, we have the descriptives. So, dito, from the descriptives, meron na kayong agad initial interpretation. Makikita nyo dito kung ano yung mga means, ano yung standard deviation, kasi si mean, makikita natin yung extent. Right? And the standard deviation, makikita natin yung consistency or yung gaano ka spread or dispersed yung ating data set. So from here, from the mean, ayan. From the mean, makikita nyo na yung mean ng low intensity or yung low level is 17.17. For the medium, you have 22.17. And for the high, you have 42.17. Now, I will not discuss pala here yung the conyo. Naging conyo yun. ano? So, I will not discuss here the yung ang tawag dito format nyo sa table when you present results kasi hindi ko alam kung ano yung ginagamit ng mga teachers ninyo. So, dito I will just teach you how to interpret. Ano yung titingnan natin? Kung ano yung dapat ilagay nyo sa inyong results. Ganun lang siguro yung mapapakita ko dito. Okay, so dito yung mean makikita natin 17.17 for the low, 22.17 for the medium, and 42.17 for the high level. So makikita natin initial na agad na analysis. Pag tumataas pala yung intensity level, okay, tumataas rin yung, ang tawag dito, ano ba yung tinitest? Time. Time to solve a certain problem. Di ba yun yung dependent variable natin? So, pag tumataas pala yung level of the intensity, tumataas rin yung time. Okay, so ganun yon. Next, we have the standard deviation. Now here, medyo siya, interesting. Kasi makikita nyo dito yung standard deviation ng tatlong groups are equal. Okay? So equal yung standard deviation. So from that alone, actually pag makikita nyo to, kung ako yung statistician, hindi ko na i-check yung homogeneity of variance. Kasi from this one, standard deviation, nakikita natin na the same yung standard deviation. So therefore, the same rin yung variance. Kasi yung standard deviation is just the square root of the variance, right? And makikita natin dito sa test of homogeneity of variances, yung p-value natin or yung sig na nandyan is 1. Meaning perfect 1. Kasi yung value ng p-value ranges from 0 to 1. Kung 1, that is perfect. They are really the same, right? So from that, the same 1. So therefore, since our null hypothesis for the homogeneity of variance says that the variances are the same, and since our p-value is equal to 1, which is greater than 0.05, then we fail to reject HO. So we will take the null hypothesis, right? And what is our null hypothesis? That is, the variances are the same. Thus, the assumption of homogeneity of variance has not been violated. So it is satisfied. And the one-way ANOVA F-test statistic can be used to evaluating the null hypothesis of equality of means. Okay, so we can now proceed to one-way ANOVA since we have satisfied the test of homogeneity of variance or the assumption of homogeneity of variances. Okay, so we can now proceed to one-way ANOVA. Now, sir, what if the decision is to reject HO, meaning the variances are not the same? Then we will proceed to Welch or Brown-Forsyth test. Saan natin siya makikita? Nakita nyo ba yung kanina sa option? Balikan lang natin ng slide. Ayan. Options, nandito sa options, si Brown at si Welch. Since from the variance test or homogeneity of variance test, suppose we rejected the HO. Babalik kayo dito sa options. Then you check Brown and Welch para ma-compare nyo yung tests. Now, sir, sino yung dapat nating gagawin? Again, as what I've said, walang best. But it's up to the researcher kung ano yung gagamitin niya. Okay? Yung iba ginagamit yung Brown, yung iba naman yung Welch. So, it's up to you. Okay? Whatever okay siya na gamitin. Okay. So that's it. So you check this one ha, pero hindi ko na siya ipapakita kasi yung data natin satisfies the homogeneity of variance test. So ayoko na siyang i-test pa. Okay? Pero again, if hindi siya na-satisfy, i-check nyo lang itong dalawang options dito, the brown and the Welch. Okay, so doon. Then after that, balik tayo dito. Ayan. So we can now proceed to ANOVA test. Now, in this case, sa baba, nakikita nyo na yung the ANOVA F test. So nakikita nyo na yung ANOVA sa baba, yung table. Okay, so nakikita na siya sa baba. So wag nyo nang i-analyze ulit kasi nandyan na si ANOVA. Okay, so you proceed now to ANOVA. So we can now compare means. So ano yung titingnan natin? Tingnan nyo lang yung p-value. Okay? So tingnan nyo yung p-value. So makikita natin dito yung 0.000. So at first glance, makikita nyo na 0 yung ating p-value, but it is not really 0. May kasunod pa yan, 0.0000 something. Okay? So hindi yan perfect 0 kasi meron talaga yung differences. Okay? So dapat meron yang meron pang ibang value sa kasunod ng mga zeros dyan. So hindi na siya makikita sa table kasi limited lang yung width ng ating column. Okay, so from here, you can now test your hypothesis. Our hypothesis kanina is there is no significant difference on the time taken to solve the problem across the intensity level of the electric shock. So in this case, since the p-value, okay, is greater than 0.05, okay, we failed to reject HO. So we failed to reject, no. Yeah, we failed to reject HO. Tama ba yung, tama. Yeah, no. 0.5. This is, ano nga yung decision rule? Negative, parang mali. Wait. For a while. Okay? So dito, it should be less than. Ano ba? Bakit greater than? Na-copy-paste kasi yung sa taas. Sorry na. Okay. So we should reject HO. Ano ba? Okay. Kasalanan ko. Okay. So yun. Balik tayo. Okay. Parang mali talaga. Ay, wait. Ayan. Okay? So yun. So if may practice na talaga kayo sa analysis, makikita nyo na mali yung pag-analyze ninyo. Okay? So here, our p-value is 0.000. So it is less than 0.05. So we must reject HO. Ayun. So yun yung tamang decision. So from that, what is now our interpretation? So this is now my interpretation. Okay, thus, there is not enough evidence. I always include this statement because the data depends on your sample. Okay? So, from your sample, maybe your sample is not enough. Okay? To your claim. Okay? So that's why I always include this one. There is not enough evidence to reject the claim because our claim is there is no significant difference. Okay? Evidence to reject the claim that there is no significant difference on the time taken to solve the problem across the intensity level of the electric shock. And that is based on our F statistic value, which is 40.127, and our p-value, which is less than 0.05. Hence, the difference is highly significant because we reject HO. So therefore, the difference is highly significant. Why is it highly significant? Makikita nyo na it is the p-value is also less than 0.01. If less than 0.01, your significance, your difference is highly significant na. Okay, so that is the correct term. Highly significant at alpha equal to 0.05. Ano ba yung alpha, sir? Alpha is the significance level, 0.05. Okay? Moreover, let's go back to our means. pwede nating isama yung mean sa pag-interpret. Moreover, the mean values of the three shock levels indicate that as the shock level increased, yeah, okay, shock level increased from low to medium to high, so did the time taken to solve the problem. So as your shock level increases, nag-i-increase din yung time taken to solve the problem. And that is now our interpretation. So I hope na kuha nyo yung ating interpretation. Okay? Again, so if oh my god, sorry. Oh my god. There there is there is enough. Yeah, thank you Agustin. So there is enough evidence. Okay? Ating i-edit ulit natin. Sorry. Sorry. Oh, 'di ba? Edit natin. So there is enough evidence to dahil yun sa decision rule kanina. Okay? So there is enough evidence to reject the claim. Okay, so ganun dapat siya. Okay? So that is now our interpretation. I hope na-gets nyo yung interpretation. If you have questions, clarifications, you can drop it down in the comment section or in our chat box and we will answer that one later. Or if nakita ko siya, I will answer it agad-agad. Okay. Now, since there is a significant difference and actually it is highly significant, okay, we can proceed to post-hoc. Ano ba yung post-hoc comparison? Sa post-hoc comparison naman, tinitest niya yung differences between two groups. So in this case, merong pairwise comparison na mangyayari. So makikita natin kung saan talaga yung difference na papaloob or sa ano yung location, saan nalulocate yung ating difference. It could be that the low level is different from the medium level, or the low is different from the high, or the low is not different from the medium but it is different from the high. So it would be yun yung mga cases. So titingnan natin kung saan talaga yung difference nag-u-occur. So dito papasok ngayon yung post-hoc comparison. Okay, you only undergo post-hoc comparison if there is a significant difference between the means. Okay? So dito papasok na gagawin na natin yung post-hoc comparison. Paano siya gagawin? So ganito, balik kayo sa data ninyo. So pwede na doon sa output. You click analyze. Then next, compare means. Then you click one-way ANOVA. Okay? Analyze, compare means, then one-way ANOVA. So babalik ulit yung mga variables natin kanina. Okay? Makikita nyo dito sa mga tabs niya, makikita nyo si post-hoc. Right? So siya yung i-click ninyo. So you click post-hoc. So in this case, mayroong versus na mangyayari. Low versus medium, low versus high, medium versus low, medium versus high, and high versus low, and high versus medium. Ganun yung mangyayari dito. Pairwise siya. So parang nagtititest kayo ulit. Okay? Kasi tigdadalawa na yung kukunin nyo. Okay? So post-hoc, after clicking post-hoc, you click OK. Dapat post-hoc pa pala. Post-hoc, then ito yung lalabas. Okay, ito yung lalabas sa post-hoc natin. So makikita nyo, may dalawang choices. First is for equal variances assumed and for equal variances not assumed. Now, since the homogeneity of variance is satisfied, then dito tayo sa equal variances. Okay? If yung variance, yung homogeneity of variance is not satisfied, dito kayo sa baba. Okay. Now, if dito muna tayo sa taas, ano yung dapat nating pipiliin? Marami dyan. Okay, marami kayong nakikitang post hoc test, right? So marami siya. Pero, isa lang yung dapat yung pipiliin. Now, in practice, so I always say, in my experience, kasi iba-ibang researcher, iba-iba rin yung ginagamit nila. Now, in my experience, I always use the two-key test or the two-key HSD. HSD ba yon? Yeah, HSD. Pero dito, two-key lang yung nakalagay. Okay, so siya yung i-check ninyo. Or you can also check chef. So, dalawa yung kadalasan kong ginagamit, si Tuki or si chef. Now, ito yung decision na ginagamit ko. If Tuki, if my data set is, yung kada group ay equal yung mga tawag dito, yung samples, every group, I usually use Tuki. Okay, so ganun yung ginagawa ko. If the same, like kanina, 666. So therefore, the same. So I will use Tuki. If hindi siya the same, I will use chef. So ganun lang yung ginagawa ko. But sa ibang researcher, iba rin yung mga decision rule na ginagamit nila. It depends on the study also. Okay? So Tuki yung gagamitin ko. Now, sir, what if yung homogeneity of variance is not satisfied? Apat yung pagpipilian ninyo. Okay? But I usually use Games Howell. Okay? So ito yung ginagamit ko, Games Howell. Okay? So siya parati yung ginagamit ko. So it's up to you. Okay? So makikita natin dito yung significance level is 0.05. You can change this one depending on your significance level. If it is 0.05, then 0.05. If 0.01, you use 0.01. Okay? Then after that, you click continue. Okay, you click continue. Okay? So after clicking continue, babalik kayo dito, then you click okay. I hope naka-follow kayo. Okay? Then after that, ito ngayon yung lalabas. Ayan. So tingnan nyo yung post-hoc test, multiple comparison. So nag-reverse sila. So ano yung titingnan ko, sir? Tingnan nyo yung p-value. Or um you can check the asterisk dito sa mean difference. May asterisk meaning it is significant. So nandito sa baba, asterisk means the mean difference is significant. So pwede nyo yung tingnan. So makikita nyo na dito yung significance sa difference, significant difference na fall. So dito, that is ito, so it is low and high and medium and high. So makikita nyo sa high, low, and high, medium, significant siya. But if you have low and medium, so makikita nyo dyan, low, medium, medium, low, so the same lang yan. So hindi siya significant. Makikita rin ninyo dito sa p-value, sa low medium, that is 0.24. 0.24, that is greater than 0.05. So we failed to reject HO, so therefore, walang difference. So walang difference sa low and medium. So therefore, yung difference pala ay nasa high because of the high level. Okay? It is because of the high level. It is not because of the low and medium. Okay? So if you're going to check the difference between low and medium, walang difference sa dalawa. But if you are going to check the low and high and medium, merong difference. So from that, you will have this interpretation. Okay? The high shock level is significantly different from both the low and medium shock levels. So si high yung nakakabigay ng difference. Okay? The low shock level and the medium shock level do not differ significantly. Okay? So walang difference sa low and medium shock levels. These results show that the overall difference in the time taken to solve complex problems between the three shock intensity levels is because of the significantly greater amount of time taken by the subjects in the high shock condition. So it is because of the high shock level. Okay? So that will be your interpretation based on the result given here in SPSS. Okay, so that is our post hoc test or post hoc comparison. So I think that ends my talk for today. Thank you for your attention. If you have questions, clarifications regarding my topic, you may drop it down in the comment section or in our chat box. Thank you for listening and thank you for your attention. I hope you have learned something and I miss you guys. Wait. Okay, so naglalag yung aking Chrome. Ayan. So remove ko muna yung slide. Pasok natin si Ma'am Maricar. Ayan.
Okay, good
Hello,
afternoon. Salamat,
Ma'am.
Sir Je. Now it's time for
Yeah.
our question and answer. So, do you have questions for Sir Jeremiah? Okay, let's see.
Okay, so do not hesitate to ask questions, guys. I am more than willing to answer your questions.
Na-overwhelm pa siguro sila sa imong presentation, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Wala pa.
Is there any questions, guys? Nakikita pala yun.
Okay, so while waiting for their questions, can we call in Mr. Sir Zimac para sa final instructions? Kay na-overwhelm pa sila sa imong presentation, sir. O pa sila kahuna-huna ahay pangutana.
So I believe all the groups or all the sections were able to receive the link for the evaluation. Later on, I will also send the link for the post test. So right now, all you need to do is to answer the evaluation. We have already 15 responses. And there are those responses na talagang, okay, we need more. We need more, sige. But on the second day or on the second day of the seminar workshop, all you need to do is to submit. No, so we will be choosing all of us, the speakers, including Ma'am Maricar. We'll be choosing best paper presenters. Not the paper, but best paper only. Best paper. Where you will you will present any format, no, but you will present, pwede nyo pugapahan ka muna bahala. You will present a sample computation from your raw data using the test that is appropriate for your study. So gamitan ninyo. So pwede niyo babutkan-butkan itong mga mga interpretation. Kami bahala. But all among tanawon anak most probably is the content, no, and the correctness, no. Correctness, tama ba yung word, no? Ang katama, no, ang pagkatama sa pag-compute, ang pagkatama sa interpret. Kami lima ang mupili sa best paper nga mo submit ana nga day. So i-post namo na online. So best paper, therefore ang magtrabaho gid ana katong grupo. So kamo tanan maka-receive og certificate, no? Katong member sa grupo, kay kamo may magtrabaho. So that would be on day 2. Muna yung trabaho ni sa day 2. Probably tanawon pa namo kung sila Sir Je and everything, no, kay kung available sila, kay kung available sila pwede man mag-live o awarding. Kay kung di po sila available, pwede naman po nato i-adagan ng online. So ana ang datingan ana, no. So ayun. So any format lang sa anyway pag abot sa atong finals, kadto na maging tinuod yung format ang nibutang. At least na namoy inyuhang results and discussion nga ibon nang inyo na i-copy paste sa inyuhang final nga manuscript. Script. Wow! Grabe Sir Mayat, no? Grabe Sir Atenta, no? Na-discuss niya tanan from the computation of the homogeneity of variances, normality, tapos post-hoc, guys, na kailangan po na ninyo sa inyuhang mga, usually dapat mo nang kailangan ninyo sa inyuhang, isa sa kailangan ninyo sa inyuhang capstone before. So, no, you are so ready for the higher institution. Okay, from first year sa higher institution, i-require na mo og paper. It can be what kind of paper? So, klase-klase nga paper, research paper. Pero kamo, grabe na mo ka high. Kaya other schools do not offer this kind of opportunity to their students. No nga maka-learn og mga na di mga hinani nga test kay all we know kamo nabalali sa una hinani ra nga test. Yeah, that test. I will compute the Pearson, that's all with this formula. But you know the application of this, grabe ka kuan. Soon gani dapat last year while waiting for Ma'am Ruth, I think last year nang invite pud mi sa mga immersion og magikan sa Saga, mga chemist, mga mathematician, muna mga visitor before. So quite extensive kaayo, pero this one it's more on the application yun sa academics among focus karon para sa inyo ha, para at the same time na intervention mahitabo sa ato ang mga sa atong whole school year na lisod gyud kaayo lahi gyud ng face to face o diretso kores kaysa online. So I am so happy that no ang attendance nato kabalo kang uban ani Sir Je, kabalo kang uban ani nag-uban na sila tanan.
Okay.
Nag-uban na sila tanan. So I'm so happy that you know you participated, you spent no kung man ta spend time for this. There are people who were so happy that they've learned a lot, they've learned new things nga uban siguro ani burag mo na po nang gusto nila studyhan ba nga ano kabaluan no, especially for STEM students kanang ilang mga vision nga you want to know a lot of things kani ang tun-anin nyo you will not only if you will learn this one di lang ni para sa inyo ha, you will earn from this soon. You will really earn from this. So kung sa inyong profession, kung ma-master ninyo ang stat and research, you will really earn a lot. So natin sa root, Sir Je?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sige.
I'll air Ma'am Ruth. So here's Ma'am Ruth.
Hello, good afternoon. It's really nice it's really nice to see you conducting this seminar even online. You really are innovative, no?
Thank
The
you.
conduct of the seminar, yes, is very timely while we are still in the midst of the new normal of learning delivery. Statistics is an integral part of research. Any research for that matter, be it qualitative or quantitative research. I commend the organizers of this forum for providing us the tools of research through the different statistical methods that was presented by equally capable experts from our very own faculty of the STEM, Senior High School of the Agusa National High School. This is really the time for research on distance learning, modular or online modality, to be explored by researchers among the faculty and the students of the senior high school. Just recently, a group of college students conducted their research in our school using the online teachers as their participants in the study. If students from other schools find the potential of our school for their research, we might as well take advantage of the opportunity before us. We have a very rich resource, raw data that is basically needed in research. The pandemic brought about by COVID-19 will not and should not hamper our desire to conduct research. If there is a feeding frenzy of research material like the first-hand data source, this is the time. So let us seize the moment. And I look forward to a vibrant research atmosphere in our school. Mabuhay ang Agusan High. Thank you, Jeremiah, Simak, no, Maricar, and even kinsa ba ba si Aijin, si Bem, wala ako nakitaan. And I know that you're doing the right thing and you are in the right track. Daghang salamat.
Okay, thank you for that for the words of encouragement, Ma'am Ruth. So, as well, yes, we pray na tana students will be encouraged to do more research, and of course the support of our faculty and staff. So that was Ma'am Ruth Villanueva, our group head in science.
Thank
Now,
you.
thank you, ma'am. Now, Sir Zimac. So at this juncture, um, all topics are discussed. And I hope na wala lang nagtanaw ang atong mga participants, but also you have experienced it by yourself. I hope that your raw data will be applied to the statistics or the lessons you have learned today. So, as what Sir Zimac said, those raw data will be applied. So, inyo siyang i-compute, inyo siyang applyan sa inyong statistics, all the things that you have learned today. And on Monday, wala pa nag-set si Sir og exact date when to submit it. But as you submit it, the panel of judges, katong mga speakers, we will be choosing the best paper. So, kaning activity, this is hitting two birds with one stone. So, naana mo para sa results and discussions, napadyoy mapili nga best paper. I would like to request Sir Zimac for the final announcements.
Hello. Yeah, exactly, ma'am, no, the deadline. I will be sending the Google Drive after no magsara yung post-test. Ang post-test sa deadline will be 12 a.m. tomorrow. So, ang deadline na everyone will be noon of the Monday, no? So 12 p.m. sa Monday po ang deadline sa atong papers. You still have weekends to do that, no, para mas mapanindot ninyo. And photo op daw ta, ma'am. I think gusto na ko ma-invite pud ang mga students dira nga makig-join pud og photo off kung na sila mga cellphone extra, nag-laptop sila na cellphone, join with us nga mag-picture uban sa mua, no. Raise your phone, groovy uban sa kani nga frame. Tapos i-send sa atong group chat, i-post nato online. Then we'll spread the unity in science and technology, engineering and mathematics, students and teachers, no? So students, grab your phone, take a photo with us.
Ma'am Ruth,
Ma'am Ruth.
kindly turn on your cam. Ayan.
And students, okay, smile na mihaw. Join us. Amo screenshot na mo ah.
Nag-screenshot ka, Jong?
I-rewind na ako, Zong. Smile.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sir Cis, Ma'am Maricar.
Salamat,
Thank you, Ma'am
ma'am, sir.
Ruth. So, am I going to end the live na, ma'am? End.